Una Pura Verdad, a simple truth. The underlying current of the American West is very much alive and represented in nearly every aspect of life. The landscape, architecture, lifestyle, industry, social structure, and crime all contain more than trace elements of the Old West. Regardless of technology and industrial developments, the West is still untamed. New Mexico, considered the last of the wild states, is perhaps the best example. This project began as a study of the undercurrent of wildness in the American West. There's a specific energy to the American West that I think is unique to the world. And this project references things from the counterculture revolution starting in San Francisco to Los Angeles being the home of Hollywood. But the project is about the West, but I'm using New Mexico as a representation of the West. And over the years, this project has evolved in some ways, and I would also say that it's devolved in some ways. So at the end of 2010, I quit work as a full-time photographer to focus on my own projects. And in doing so, it really opened the door for me to take a step back and look at this project in a much broader spectrum. And I can't tell you how much fun and how much more interesting the project has become. At this point, I go into the field with specific stories in mind, but the great thing is I just react to what happens along the way. And it's been liberating. I feel much more free as a photographer, and I think I'm making better work, and I just have an absolute blast anytime I'm out and able to work on the project. My biggest issue is time. I never, ever, ever have enough time. So life these days for me in the field is about specifics. It's basically, okay, I need a guarantee. I know this thing is going on at this particular time, at this particular place, and I've got this amount of time, and that's it. At least you feel like you're making progress, that you're not just wandering around aimlessly, which actually is an unbelievably freeing way of working, of just getting in the car, looking at a map, and saying, you know, here's a region of the state I haven't been to, I'm just going to go for it. And it's fantastic. And when you find pictures working that way, you're driving down the road, you look out, and you see something, and you go, oh my God, that's incredible, and the light's good, and your heart's just pounding. And you're thinking to yourself, you know, you've only got one shot at it. And you get out of the car and you're thinking, okay, are these people going to be cool? Are they going to let me shoot? They're not going to let me shoot. What do I do? What kind of introduction? You know, can I just start shooting without talking first, or is that going to get me in trouble? And all these scenarios, and then boom, you get something, and your heart's kind of pounding, and you go, man, that was completely worth whatever I just had to do to get here. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Pie Town is all about pie, oddly enough. I found out about Pie Town through another photographer, which is a pretty common occurrence. What I didn't realize was what type of geography or topography surrounds Pie Town. I also didn't realize that Pie Town sits in Catron County, which is the least populated county in New Mexico, which is very appealing to me.
I want a little bunch down there. Well, you need to come down there. It's really pretty down around here. We've got a lot of good country.
Check that one out.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. I'd love to, you know, I'd love to read this book too.
Yeah, that's right.
Really, really cool people, laid back, made some great connections. So a few years ago, someone asked me if I knew about the Burning Man of Santa Fe. And of course, me being clueless, I didn't. And it turns out that for the past 80 plus years, there's been an event here called Zozobra, which is the burning of gloom, basically. I absolutely love the concept of saying, basically, okay, Mr. Negativity and Mr. Gloom and Mr. Crap, and let's face it, we all have a lot of this going on in the world today. Let's just put it all together and let's just torch this mother and say, you know what, F you, we're moving on. I want the people in the photos to be exposed to it, which means I probably will have to go back into some of these towns and do exhibitions there, or at least just come in and have a community meeting where people are able to see the work. I think after people ask you who you are and what you're doing out there, and you tell them, oh, I'm a photographer, I'm working on this project about New Mexico, one of the first questions they ask is why? I don't really feel like I have a choice anymore about doing this project. It's the first thing that pops into my head. I try not to ever lose track of the fact that what I'm doing probably doesn't really matter. It's just a look at this place at this time. That's it. I'm not, I don't profess to be a genius with a camera by any stretch. I'm just a guy that has the desire to go out and record this stuff, and hopefully somewhere down the line somebody will be interested in seeing what this place looked like at this particular point in time.